Andrew Berry had his press conference on Wednesday, and there were some really important things from it that it's not what he said, but it's what he didn't say. And when I listened to the press conference, a lot of memories started to flutter back to me on his previous press conferences. And this one was a little different. So let's jump right into it. And Andrew Berry was immediately greeted with a question about, of course, Deshaun Watson and what the evaluation of Watson has been. And here's what he said. Our focus with Deshaun, I would say, for any player with a season-ending injury and a major injury is first and foremost with the recovery and to make sure that he gets healthy from the Achilles injury. Everything else we'll deal with at a later moment. That was an opportunity for Berry to come out and really express some confidence in Watson. He didn't, right? He kind of used the injury as a piece of camouflage to avoid giving any really strong opinion about Watson and the way he played so far. The injury was a little bit of a cover-up and something for Berry to hide behind. But it wasn't just that response. This one really jumped out to me. We haven't played well as a team. We haven't played well as a unit on offense. And I think oftentimes when you don't play well on offense, obviously your starting quarterback and your play caller will get the most criticism. When Berry said that, I immediately thought of his press conference around this time last year when he had one after Deshaun Watson's season-ending injury in Baltimore. And I want you guys to listen to what Berry said same time-ish last year, but not quite the same response. Here's what he said. In November of 2023, yeah, we feel good about Deshaun. We see how talented he is. We could see it since he returned from his last injury, the level that he is able to play. He's smart. He's physically tough. He's mentally tough. He really is, as Kevin's mentioned, he's the leader of the team, and we're excited to get him back for 2024. Anyone else kind of get the same vibe of, wow, those are very different responses after season-ending injuries a year apart. A ton of confidence in we're going to get Watson back. He's the leader of this team. He's playing great after last year. This year, the response is, well, we're rooting for his rehab first and foremost, and blame always happens to fall on the quarterback and play caller when things go south. Man, I did not walk away from that presser feeling like Andrew Berry is very confident in 4. Honestly, this kind of reminds me of the way the 2021 season ended with Baker Mayfield, where Berry said Baker's our quarterback, but didn't really say it with a lot of enthusiasm in his voice. And now I'm starting to wonder, are we about to get the Odyssey speech? Remember when the Browns traded for Watson and Andrew Berry said this Odyssey really began, 4 to 6 months ago. And if you did the math, that brought you to right around November, December of the 2021 season before they acquired Watson in April of 2022. And I wonder if we're at the point where Berry begins a new odyssey to find his next quarterback in the NFL draft. So I'm starting to get shades of the verbiage, and not even just the verbiage, but the tone that we got at the end of 2021. And with that, I'll say this. All options are on the table to me. That was something I really walked away from this press conference thinking. It was a lot of nothing in a lot of ways, and that's usually how most press conferences go unless you have a super exciting coach or owner like Jerry Jones who likes to run his mouth. Berry and Stefanski are not those people. And so I think all options are on the table when it comes to drafting a quarterback. And that's what I want to spend the second half of today's video talking about. So don't go anywhere, but a quick shout out to our sponsor, Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. One thing I love about Game Time is their all-in pricing option. Toggling this feature shows the total upfront cost with no surprise fees at checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. As things currently stand right now, the Browns have the number 5 pick in the upcoming draft. But with a lot of season left, I really don't think anyone should be scoreboard watching. You're probably just going to set yourself up to be disappointed if you really want a high pick like number 1 and the team starts winning, or you want to see them start winning and they start losing more. So don't get too attached to any one pick assignment. But with the way Barry talked about, or the lack of talk, I should say, surrounding the Browns having confidence in Deshaun Watson, there is a chance that during this odyssey, we'll call it, maybe they fall in love with a quarterback prospect. And when the Browns are on the clock and that player is still on the board, they decide to pull the trigger on that. This could be an example of what if. There are, countless NFL draft what if stories of if this guy was there when we were on the clock, we were going to take him. Instead, he went there, and the rest is history. And maybe that's what this amounts to. Maybe the Browns have a plan in place to try and get one of these quarterbacks, but they go one pick before them, and it doesn't happen, and they got to pivot to plan B, and we'll never know what happens, and they run it back with Watson. But maybe one of these quarterbacks is available when they're on the clock. And there's really only 2 that I feel are worthy of a first-round draft pick for sure. And that is Cam Ward out of Miami. The journeyman quarterback who's on a somewhat similar path like Jaden Daniels, who played a lot of college football and is kicking ass in the NFL right now after getting a ton of experience at Arizona State and then at LSU. Cam Ward going from Incarnate Ward to Washington State to Miami. And he's been, I think, the most impressive quarterback in college football this year through the lens of NFL GM scouting for the next level. So Ward is definitely someone that jumps out to me as this could be a quarterback that really captures the Browns' attention. And if he were available when the Browns are on the clock, they may say they are rolling it back with Watson, but that goes out the window when secretly all along, plan A is we're drafting a quarterback if the guy we like is still there. Now, it's really hard to say in early November that might be the case because we have no idea what pick the Browns are going to get or where these guys are projected to go. Another quarterback that could catch Cleveland's attention is, of course, Shedeur Sanders. He's football royalty, right? It's Deion's son. That goes without saying. There's a lot to like about Shedeur's game. He has so many wow moments and wow plays and playmaking abilities that in the NFL right now, one of the big buzzwords is explosiveness, right? Can you find a guy that gets you big chunks of yardage? Hello, Shedeur. That is him. He doesn't have incredible athletic ability or mobility per se, but he's got an elite arm. He can make a ton of throws from a lot of difficult angles. And his pre-snap recognition, he's working behind not a very good offensive line in Boulder. And he gets sacked and hit a lot, and he gets up a lot. And with the way the Browns quarterback play has been this year, that might be something Cleveland values a lot in a QB. Shedeur, though, he's in the midst of yet another really strong season. 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Last year, 27-3 in his first season with the Buffs. But the big question with Shedeur, and the one I don't have the answer to, is will Deion let this happen? I know that sounds a little gossipy and a little school lunch table, but we've seen this before. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Back when Eli Manning was selected by the Chargers, his dad said he's not playing for the Chargers. He got traded to the Giants on draft night. Or how about John Elway? I'm not playing for the Colts. So they traded him to the Broncos. There is a little bit of a precedent for this. And let's just swallow the tough pill right now. Deion's probably going to have a little bit of a say in all this. He's going to want to have a say. And if he tells the Browns, don't draft my son because he's not going to play for you, that could lead to a very awkward encounterment, right? It also happened with Bo Jackson. That's an awesome story about Well, maybe not so awesome for Bo, but looking back at it, he was drafted by the Bucks because Bucks had the number 1 pick, and he went to visit, and it ruined his eligibility for his baseball season at Auburn. And the Bucks had said, "No, it won't interfere with that. Don't worry at all." And it did, and he refused to play for them. And Buccaneers wasted their pick on him. So don't tell me that this is not a real possibility. And let's be honest, if there was a franchise or two that Deion refused to let his son play for, I'd say the team that has, 31 starting quarterbacks since 33 starting quarterbacks since 99, might be a team where Deion says absolutely not. Go look elsewhere. So the other side of the coin is, will the Browns QB still even be on the board when they're on the clock? And that's something that we just don't know, which is why we're so early in the process. I don't think you should let anyone influence you to believe that this is going to be a for sure thing or not. Whether they draft a quarterback or don't draft a quarterback or should draft a quarterback. What if they end up with the 8th overall pick and the top 2 guys go 1-2? Right? They go 2 and 3. And the teams picking at 2 and 3 really want a quarterback and are not interested in trading away. I mean, the Giants last year wanted a QB, but QBs went 1, 2, and 3, and none of those teams wanted to move out of those picks. So, tough luck. Raiders really wanted Jaden Daniels. Bad news for the Raiders. Commanders wanted them too, and they did not trade the pick if they didn't want to. So, there's a lot of unknown right now, but I do believe after Andrew Berry's comments, he might be preparing to draft a quarterback if the opportunity presents itself. We just got to wait and see if that opportunity really comes around. Okay, before we sign off and let you guys get on out of here, I do want to get the pulse of everyone watching. Do you want the Browns to draft a quarterback with a good pick, right? Let's say rounds 1 or 2. Yes or no? For me, if Shedeur is on board, if Deion is on board letting Shedeur play in Cleveland, or Cam Ward is available when the Browns are on the clock, I won't be upset about those picks. I do feel like the Browns shouldn't reach on a quarterback just because they feel pressure to take one to somewhat get themselves like a save the marriage baby where, well, let's draft a quarterback. That way we can't get fired because we need to be around to develop that QB. No, I don't like the idea of taking a QB just for the sake of taking a QB so people can get off their backs about Watson. If there's not a quarterback they like when they're on the board for the first time in a round, or on the clock for the first time in round 1 since Greg Newsome in 2021, then they should go get the best player available. So I will end with, it's more likely than I initially thought. I've definitely warmed up to the idea of the Browns using their round 1 pick on a QB. I mean, my initial first mock draft video was Will Campbell, the left tackle out of LSU. And, well, I don't think that's out of the question now or anything. I do think Barry's comments today definitely made me go, that doesn't sound like a GM who is committing to Watson without a doubt. All right. Appreciate everyone for tuning in to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, give us a big thumbs up, and I'll see you all later.